There are border crossings in Europe where you don't even know you've crossed a border. No sign, no checkpoint, no passport. You pass a painted line on the road, and you're in a different country. For 30 years, this was considered one of the great achievements of the modern world. 400 million people, 26 countries, no internal borders. In 2025, 10 of those countries have active border controls running simultaneously, and almost nobody is talking about it. June 14th, 1985. 5 men sign a document on a riverboat floating on the Moselle River near the small town of Schengen, Luxembourg. The location was deliberate. That stretch of river sits at the exact point where Luxembourg, France, and Germany converge. 3 countries, 1 river, no clear line where one ends and the next begins. That's the metaphor they were going for. Before 1985, crossing between European countries meant showing your papers at every frontier. Queues, customs checks, delays. For a continent trying to rebuild itself as a unified economic force, it was a drag on everything. The Schengen Agreement set out to fix that, gradually abolish border checks between member states, strengthen the outer edges instead, trust each other's screening, share intelligence, build a common database. It started with 5: Belgium, France, Germany, Luxembourg, the Netherlands. By the time it actually went into effect, 1995, Italy, Spain, Portugal and Greece had joined, then the Nordics, then Eastern Europe as it opened up after the Cold War. By the mid-2000s, you could drive from Lisbon to Warsaw without showing a single document. For most Europeans who grew up after this, it's just normal. You don't think about it. You get on a train in Paris and get off in Amsterdam. No friction, no paperwork, no one asking where you're going. That's what 400 million people got used to. And then 2015 happened. The number you need to understand is 1,573,000. That's how many people crossed into Europe by sea in 2015 alone. Over 800,000 of them came through Greece, most crossing from Turkey in overcrowded rubber dinghies. The crossing takes about 40 minutes. Thousands didn't make it. The Syrian civil war had displaced millions. ISIS had cut a path through Iraq. Afghanistan was collapsing. People were moving, and Europe was the destination. Here's where the Schengen system ran into a problem it was never designed to handle. Schengen abolished internal borders, but it assumed the external borders, the outer edges of the zone, would hold. That member states at those edges would screen arrivals, register them, process their asylum claims. Greece and Italy were that outer edge in 2015, and they were overwhelmed. The processing system broke down. People weren't being registered. They were being waved through, northward into the Balkans, toward Germany and Sweden, the countries with the strongest asylum systems and the most generous benefits. Then Germany made a decision that changed everything. Chancellor Angela Merkel suspended the Dublin Protocol, the rule that says asylum seekers must apply in the first EU country they enter. Germany announced it would process Syrian claims regardless of where people had entered Europe. The message spread through refugee networks almost overnight. Germany was open. In Munich, crowds greeted arriving trains with applause and welcome signs. It was a genuine outpouring. Germany had done this. Wir schaffen das. We can do this. But unilaterally suspending Dublin pulled the entire Schengen logic apart. If people didn't have to be registered where they entered, if they could move freely to wherever they chose, then there was no coherent system anymore, just movement. Hungary watched this unfold and made a different calculation. Prime Minister Viktor Orban ordered a 4-meter razor wire fence built along the border with Serbia, then extended it to Croatia. Hungary would not be a transit corridor. Orban called it protecting Europe's outer border. He was mocked, sanctioned, and called a fascist for it. Meanwhile, a human river moved north, through Serbia, through Croatia, through Slovenia, across Austria into Germany. An estimated 1.3 million people arrived in Europe in 2015. The Schengen system had no mechanism for this. It was, as one analyst later put it, a fair-weather arrangement. It worked when nothing went wrong. Within months, country after country quietly began reinstating border controls. Austria, Denmark, Sweden, Norway. Not loudly, not with fanfare, not with a press conference declaring that the experiment had failed. Just quietly, citing temporary security concerns, filing the required paperwork with the European Commission. Here's something you need to understand about how Schengen is written. Member states are legally permitted to reinstate border controls temporarily for up to 30 days in response to a serious threat to public security or public order. That's the rule. 30 days, temporary, exceptional. The rule also allows extensions and extensions of extensions. As of early 2025, 10 Schengen member states have active border controls in place simultaneously. Germany, France, Austria, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Italy, Slovenia, Bulgaria, the Netherlands. Germany has been running controls since September 2024, covering every single land border it shares with its neighbours. France has controls at all internal land, air, and sea crossings. Sweden cites organised crime, terrorism, and foreign state actors. Every one of these countries has notified the European Commission as required. Everyone has cited temporary security concerns. Some have been renewing those temporary measures for years. There is a word for what happens when a temporary measure becomes permanent through continuous renewal. We don't usually call it temporary anymore. We call it policy. The EU has not officially declared Schengen broken. No press conference, no treaty renegotiation, no honest public accounting of what happened in 2015 and what it permanently changed. The institution exists on paper. The speeches still reference it. But the thing the speeches are referencing, 400 million people, 26 countries, no borders, is no longer the reality on the ground. A decade after We Can Do This, the Austrian Chancellor called Merkel's decision a historic mistake. The former Austrian foreign minister went further, saying what was called far right then has become mainstream today. Even inside Germany, a majority of citizens now believe Merkel made the wrong call in 2015. Hungary, the country that got fined €200 million by the European Court for refusing to comply with EU asylum policies, is now being quietly thanked by border police unions in other countries for protecting Europe's outer edges when others wouldn't. The town of Schengen itself sits where 3 countries converge. You can walk across that border still. No checkpoint, just the river. But just a few hundred miles in either direction, the controls are back. What happened to Schengen isn't complicated once you see it clearly. A system was built on an assumption that the outer edges would hold, that flows would be manageable, that member states would behave cooperatively under pressure. In 2015, all three of those assumptions failed at once. And instead of redesigning the system, Europe did what institutions usually do when they fail. They kept the name, kept the speeches, kept the symbol, and quietly dismantled the thing itself. The dream was signed on a riverboat in 1985. Nobody officially ended it, but if you're driving across Europe today and a police officer asks for your passport, you'll know it's over.